Joining us for the Village Board of East Aurora meeting for May 15th, 2023. If you could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I get a roll call attendance, please, Maureen.
Trustee Lizikas. Trustee Cameron.
Here.
Trustee Vijay.
Here.
Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Shoneman.
Present.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. I got a motion to approve the minutes of the Village Board meeting for May 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
I'll second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract for 5/15/23 for voucher numbers 63480 to 63513 for a total of $36,042.32.
So moved.
Moved by George, second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I am going to give a quick proclamation to the Czar of Public Works here in East Aurora and Christine. He actually insisted I call him that. Matt Hay and his crew. This is National Public Works Week, May 21st to the 27th. And whereas the public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the village of East Aurora, and other lots of great stuff in this proclamation. Whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, I, Peter Mercurio, Mayor, do hereby designate the week May 21 to 27, 2023 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in any activities, events, or ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals. And personally, I think about it, I actually looked out the window at like midnight in December on a lousy night. And I'm like, man, there are people right now who are going to work because some pipe burst and they got to dig 6 feet down and fix it at night, like on a Saturday night in the sleet. So I just want you to know how much we appreciate you and your team and everything you do, and not just 9 to 5, everything you do 24 hours a day for the whole week for all of the residents of East Aurora. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Moving on to our first speakers in communications, you will have 2 opportunities to speak publicly on any topic that you like. If you're here for a public hearing, though, you will be able to speak during the public hearing on that particular issue. Please raise your hand and when recognized, come up to the microphone, let us know what your issue is. Does anybody, and you'll have a second opportunity at the end of the meeting as well. Anybody have any topics they'd like to speak on right now? All right. Moving to our first public hearing. Can I get a motion to consider the site plan application for 203 Main Street for Clark and Katie Crook to construct a new mixed-use building at 7:06 p.m. You don't have to actually construct the building at 7:06 p.m. But we're opening the public hearing at 7:06 p.m. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the public hearing is open. Can we hear from the applicant first, please?
And thank you for the clarification, sir. There's no way we could get this thing started by
I
that
feel
time.
like you could do it if you really set your mind to it.
Oh, she just asked me today for drawings. Michael Anderson, Abstract Architecture, here with Katie, representing the family. As you're aware, you referred us to planning a while ago. To give you a brief update, we had a couple of meetings with the planning board. We were in the process of developing both the site and the exterior elevations, which are in the package you have. There were a couple of things they requested. One of them pushing the building back a little bit. We did end up moving it back a little bit. There's a couple of trees on the neighbors adjacent property that we didn't want to impact, and arborist says, don't move it any further or you'll be buying a couple of trees. But we did end up pushing it back about a foot, planning like that. We also had, at that point in time, added some more fenestration to the outside, giving it a little bit more character, which was just a natural progression in the design. Beyond that, we're here to answer any questions you guys may have.
What questions does the board have for him?
Just one, please.
I was at the last planning meeting and they were very receptive to all the comments and it looks like a great plan.
I'll commend the planning board. They were extremely easy to work with, but very foresightful in their opinions and questions. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it helps a lot having the planning commission who has a lot of experience doing this and umpteen years of experience in this business.
Oh, it makes everyone's life a lot
Yeah.
easier.
It sure does. Yeah, have the experts looking at it. So
Nothing's changed since before it's still 2 commercial spaces, an office space up on the 2nd floor for the building owner to run her business out of, and a residence.
all right.
Has anything changed in the plans?
No,
New
nothing,
plans?
absolutely nothing. No. Same square footages. It's 1 foot further back on the property.
Well, thanks for investing in the community.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
All right. Good. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public have any comment on this project? Very good. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:09 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is closed. Moving on to our second public hearing. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing to consider the amended special use permit application for 640 to 650 Main Street for leveled up to place clothing racks on the sidewalks? And it would be at 7:10 PM.
So moved.
Moved by George, second by Grace. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now open. Is the applicant here? Would you like to come up and give us a quick high level? Please,
Get his name in that.
name and address too, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cody. Sorry,
Get an address. Address.
650 Main Street.
Thank you.
So just looking to put some racks out on the sidewalk during operating hours, draw a little bit more traffic to the store. Sometimes with the sun coming in from the front there, it glares and people can't see through the windows unless they actually physically come up to the window and look through. Not everybody feels comfortable doing that. Also just drive sales during the summer, so.
And they're just gonna be there during your business hours, correct?
Yes, sir.
You take everything in at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
Was it 2 racks? It says as close to the building as possible,
Correct.
7 feet wide.
Correct.
How far out do you think the racks will be then? Off the building?
I'd say probably no more than 7 feet off the building. And then there should still be an additional, I believe it's 10 to 12 feet until the street.
Yeah, it's a nice wide space.
Yes,
That
sir.
helps. Yeah. Anybody have any questions for Cody? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone from the public like to comment on this issue? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:11 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion to open a public hearing at 7:12 PM to consider the village's annual MS4 report?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second
I'll second.
by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Public hearing is open.
Brian did all the work putting the report together along with our engineers. And so I'm going to let him give you 30-second or however long winds up being explanation of what the report is all about. It is a annual requirement of the state.
We got for us, Brian.
So yeah, the yearly municipal stormwater separate storm sewer system report. Everything went well filling out the report, just like last year. So that's pretty much all I've got.
That's high level.
Who is interested in viewing the entire report? It has been on our website with our agenda, so there is not actually a lot of interest in it, but it's there.
Well, we
No.
thank you for pulling it together, even if the public may not be downloading it.
It is extensive.
Now, dumb question for you. Do we have separate sewer and
Mhm.
wastewater? Okay.
Sanitary sewer.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, good. I did not realize that. Thank you.
All right, anyone have any other questions for Brian from the board? Okay, anybody from the public want to comment on this exciting issue? Very good. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing at 7:14 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The public hearing is closed. Moving on to official considerations. I get a motion to make a determination under a seeker for the site plan application for 203 Main Street for Clark and Katie Crook to construct a new mixed use building.
So moved.
Moved by George, second.
I'll second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeker is approved. Can I get a motion to approve the site plan application for 203 Main Street for Clark and Katie Crook to construct a new mixed use building?
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations. I got a motion to approve the amended special use permit application for 650 Main Street leveled up to place clothing racks on the sidewalk.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion?
I just want to mention, I like what, this look and the feel of bringing the retail environment out to those wide sidewalks. But this is a precedent. I mean, I don't know.
I guess we can look at everyone individually, but this will go a long way in
Which would
leading
be-
people to think.
And it would
I
be
feel the
fine
same
with
way.
me.
I
It would
feel the
be, it would personally be fine with me, but let's not mistake ourselves. It would only be fair if we let other people do it as
Yeah.
well.
You have to look at it on a case by case basis, but yeah.
It will depend on how much room they have.
How
size of racks and
things like that.
Right, right. It doesn't bind us to
Right.
do
No.
everything
This is
that somebody
for the,
asks,
you know,
but
people here.
but I mean, we shouldn't look at this as a total one-off.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, like outdoor seating at restaurants, right?
Yeah.
Then everybody's like, I love that idea. I'm gonna do it next year.
Yeah.
And then they did it and it looks great. So bringing the retail businesses out farther onto the sidewalk. My concern was, is it gonna look cluttered if 20 shops are doing it? But you know what? If it's a way to support local business and it gets people shopping there more and it kind of gives people an even warm and fuzzier sense of community, walking down our main street. Have at it.
And it
I think it's
seems
a
to
nice
be
look.
almost designed for that, like it has that big wide space, so.
Any other thoughts from the trustees?
Anything to make it a business more attractive, anything to make a business more successful, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think it's still wide enough that we've got accessibility in both directions. So that's fine by me.
It's not gonna be, that's not a problem.
Matt, hey, do you have any thoughts on it since the sidewalks are kind of your purview? Since I don't think they're gonna be out there in the winter when you're plowing or anything.
No, I don't think it'll be an issue.
Thank you, Matt. All right, moved by Grace, second by Ernie. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations, Cody. Can I get a motion to approve the mayor to sign the village's annual MS4 report?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by George. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the historic landmark status for property at 866 East Main Street for applicant Jeff Hintz.
So moved.
Moved by Ernie, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? I love that historical biography that was in the packet. That was really a lot of interesting information. You had a former town supervisor who lived there, a former village president who lived there, and the first woman trustee who lived there from the 70s. Yeah. A whole bunch of other people.
It was first owned by Holland Nick. And they absconded that land from the Indians. And 400 acres of it was sold off as a tract in 1804. Went through 8 owners. And in 1840, a gentleman by the name of Nathaniel Turner bought the property for farm use. And I believe the other uses were farming as well. But the understanding that I got through reading research is that a lot of the property was cherry trees. Farming for cherries. He died in 1881. The property was then sold to James D. Yeomans. And he is the gentleman that built that property, completing it in 1885. That house is approximately got a 75-foot height because of the tower, and at that time it was the highest structure in the area, and it was well recognized. You could see the tower from the railroad station. Yeomans was, as the mayor says, he was the town supervisor in 1883. He ran a stock farm that he owned east of the village, in addition to the property that he had. And he also spent a career in the railroad industry.
So it was the Yeoman's house, is that what they called it? And then they switched it and called it the Brotherhood House?
Well,
They call it the Hintz House now?
I gotta get there. I gotta get 30.
Hey, do you want to go to the microphone? We record everything in a meeting, so.
Understood. I was ready to be called up.
It didn't happen.
I feel like I had a choice.
Well, Maureen keeps you straight. So, in 1888, he sold the property to move his stock farming operations to Iowa. And there he became a state senator, not a US senator for the state of Iowa, but an Iowa state senator. And at that time, Grover Cleveland appointed him to the Interstate Commerce Commission, because prior to that, all of the people on the Interstate Commerce Commission were lawyers, and they had no real railroad experience, which was prominent at the time. And because of Yeoman's experience, Cleveland was interested in getting him on it, and he was very productive from what the history says. And he was reappointed by McKinley, and then reappointed for a third term by Roosevelt. He left the ICC in 1905 and passed away a year later. And I couldn't find out whether it was due to illness he resigned or what that was. But he died in 1906. So meanwhile, back in East Aurora, the house was sold to Alfred Brotherhood, which, as you mentioned, the house is also known as the Brotherhood House. But with Yeomans owning the house only for 6 years, building it, living in it for a couple of years, and then moving on for reasons that I don't know. Brotherhood owned the house for 37 and a half years. And he came from England. He had 13 brothers and sisters, so I don't know whether that was an escape move or not. But he got an engineering degree in England, came to New York City, and he's known down in New York City as the designer for the bells, the bell buoys in
Is he-
New York Harbor.
See the guy who's ultimately buried in Brooklyn?
I believe he is. I think Yeomans is buried here in the cemetery. So he was the first president of the country club, the A Country Club, and the men's club, which later became known as the Board of Trade. In 1910, he was elected as village president, and he served from 1910 to 1918. So there were multiple re-elections that he survived. While president, this fits in well with your declaration for the week for the DPW. While president, he was the first, his organization put in the first sewer system. So at any time you're cussing and swearing, you can blame brotherhood. Oh. Good for us. Good for us. So in 22, the property, over the years, the property was reduced and reduced and reduced. And in 1922, it was finally reduced further by being sold off on the northern partials to the current almost 2 acres that exist today. That's on Main Street. And in 1944, the property was sold by Brotherhood to 2 more owners, successive owners, and then to the Chur family. And some of you may know the Chur family as the people that donated a lot of the polo activities. They owned the nursing home, or they still own it, probably. I don't know.
And this is where they started it, right?
This is where they started.
That's really interesting.
So the family owned it, and one of the Chur family members stopped by in the 30 years we've lived at the house. And he said, well, in the back 2 rooms, we took care of an aunt, an uncle, or a grandmother. And that's where the idea of elderly care came about. And then they started the business and have been very successful since. So then Bob Chur sold the house to Phyllis Whitmore McLeod. And she's her biggest known factor is that she is the sister of James Whitmore, the actor. But for East Aurora, she is notable as the first woman elected as a village trustee, and she served 3 terms from 73 to 79. And she owned the property for 14 and a half years, selling it in 1980. And then there were 2 more owners, and then my wife Karen and I bought the property in 1992. And we've been there for 31 years, to date, and we have no plans of going anywhere. We absolutely love the village, and we love Western New York. The historic registry will be a benefit not only to the village, but also specifically to the East Main Historic District. In working up the historic application, talking to Preservation Buffalo Niagara, the professionals there feel pretty strongly that I could apply and get accepted for state and national registry. And our current planning is that we will go forward and do that with all the additional paperwork involved and what's what. So in conclusion, my request is that you consider this and approve it. I think it's good for the village. And I think it's, our work will be an asset.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being.
Any other questions?
Thank you for being such a careful steward of this historic property.
Yeah.
6 more years and it can be the Hintz house. Then you. As long as the brotherhood, it was 37 and a half, you said, right?
Yeah.
Stick it out, Jeff.
Okay. Anything else?
Anybody else have anything for Jeff Hintz?
No, it's
That
great.
was great. Yeah, really interesting.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. All right. Motion to approve the historic landmark status, moved by Ernie, second by Grace. Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you all.
Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for 120 Pine Street for Saturday, September 9th for the Keller Lorraine Wedding,
So moved.
moved by Grace, second. Second by George. Further discussion? Is the applicant here? Oh, hi. How you doing? So who's getting married there that you know? Oh, congratulations. That's exciting. And you think the tent, you may not need it, is just gonna wait and see how the weather goes as you get closer to it? But the tent will be entirely on your property, right? You gonna have a DJ, you're gonna have a live band, a little bit of both? You're the band? You're like, you can only have your wedding at my house if I get to play the tuba or whatever. Oh, that's awesome. What do you play? Yeah. Awesome. That'll be great.
There's plenty of room. The property goes 400 feet behind the street.
Sure. Oh, yeah, it's a great spot for it. I can't wait. I mean, I hope my tuxedo matches. You gotta tell me the colors to make sure I blend in with the rest of the wedding party. Could we just get your names for the record, please?
Gary Keller.
Thank you, Gary and Linda. Moved by Grace, second by George. Anyone have any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approved. Congratulations. I hope you have a wonderful day. Can I get a motion to approve the temporary use permit for Hamlin Park for July 31st through November 5th for Little League football and cheerleading?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion? Do we have the applicant here? Would you mind coming up and introducing yourself, sir?
Good evening. My name is Brandon Emick, reside at 440 Falls Road in West Falls. I am the current commissioner for football for East Aurora Little Loop. I also serve as the vice president of Empire West. Empire West is the league that East Aurora Little Loop operates in.
Very good. Any significant changes from previous years that?
So the only significant change that we're looking to try to add is the only accommodation that the park does not have is lighting for us for when we're getting deeper into the fall season. We have one of our registrants whose father owns a company and has temporary lighting that he is willing to donate to the organization. Just to allow us to have a little bit more safer practice when things start getting dark. Practice times are always going to be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. As we get into school season, we really reduce that time 2 days, 3 days a week. So it's not even going to be something that's going to be happening 5 days a week. Our games are played on Saturdays. We start those games 10 a.m. We'll never be using the lights on the weekends or anything like that. If we do have any night games, those would be played up at the high school.
Mm-hmm. So you still go till 8 p.m., lights or no lights? It'll just make it easier for everybody to see everything.
We try to.
Yeah.
As you get later into the season, I mean, things get a little bit more competitive. You have your playoffs, your championship games that you're trying to accommodate
Hopefully.
for. A lot of times our organization ends up doing is we try to rent time at Salem's. A lot of the local football teams do that just to kind of get the kids indoors because there's lights and everything in there as well.
Sure.
They're not always going to be able to accommodate due to all the teams that do rent the facility out. So with the lights, we would be able to accommodate our teams a little bit better to have some more practice time to better prepare for the playoffs, the season games, championships, if we make it.
Would the lights remain there even when you're not practicing, or would they be taken home every night?
To my understanding, the lights are the construction lights that you see on the side of the road, like on the highway. To my understanding, that's what they are. So they're just temporary lights that would go up. They would remain there. At the end of the night, we do have the ability to be able to move them off to the side or put them wherever you guys would see fit.
You can like lock them up or?
I think they're pretty big. They're trailers. I mean, it would be pretty tough to get them out of there, but.
I'm thinking some of the ones I've seen on the highway are maybe like 10-foot tripod lights. You're talking the ones that go.
I think they're the ones that have the generator right on.
Okay, built right in. And then where around the field would they actually be? How many lights are there and where would they be located?
There's only a few. I think there's up to 4 that we would have, like just on different sides of the field, just so that way we could illuminate as much as possible for the kids.
Yeah. I guess I'd ask that they're on the south and the east and west sides. Right, so they're pointing towards the park and not towards houses.
Right, oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Everything would be pointed directly to the actual football field that we currently use. So nothing would be pointed towards the homes.
Okay.
How about noise? Really loud?
I don't believe so.
Generator?
I don't think they're very loud at all. Not any louder than 150 kids.
Yeah, right.
Then I'm not sure, I can't picture how big one of those, like, how do you get it out there? Is it?
So it's like almost like a boat crank, if you want to call
Okay.
it that, and then they just kind of extend up, you turn them
Okay.
on, and then they just illuminate.
How about Matt? Any concerns driving them out there?
No,
But yeah, I was just trying to think if it was the sort of thing where you had to worry about tree roots
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think they're that heavy, right?
That's what I didn't have
Yeah.
a good
No,
perception of.
okay.
And if this is something that does pass for this year, it might be something that we may look into doing like a more, permanent solution for future years, have a telephone pole installed or something like that. Just so that way it's less noisy or more permanent.
Sure. Yeah, there's a telephone pole there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to have a speaker in that.
Speaker's still there.
The speaker's still there. And what about amplification as far as announcing the games?
Announcing the games is all still the exact same as what it always has been.
That portable
We have-
unit?
Yeah, just a portable unit that we have that's over the gazebo.
Mhm.
Microphone. Very basic.
Right. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Any other thoughts or concerns or discussion from the board?
Do we want to think any more about the lighting since that's not something that's going to be needed immediately?
I guess I don't need to based on that. I mean, we
Okay.
pull it if it becomes a problem, right? If all the residents are like, oh my God. This is
Well, it's
terrible.
got- yeah, I wasn't sure if we should talk to
Yeah.
them first.
Yeah, or have it adjusted, right? I think we have that flexibility. It's only till 8.
Yeah.
And they probably won't even start using it until. Yeah, but like what?
But like, yeah, probably not
Like
during
October?
September, October. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anymore until it was actually out there and being used.
Right.
Than I do right now. So
Right, we'll have to see.
that's well, I'm
Okay.
giving it a try.
I'm sure they'll be very responsible with it. Hopefully everything goes smoothly for the first year.
We have to readdress it. We can.
Yep. All right, any other discussion from the board?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations. Thanks for coming in. We got a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Hamlin Park for July 21 for a presentation of the Aurora players.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second. Second by Ernie. Further discussion? Someone here from the Aurora players? Look pretty cut and dry, actually.
Yeah.
They're gonna be mic'd up and they'll be playing a little bit of music,
Mhm.
some theme period music beforehand, I think it said, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's one night and it looks like it's gonna be a neat show of Shakespeare. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Hamlin Park for June 30 for the East Aurora Quaker Club charity softball game between the EAPD and EAFD.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second. Second by George. Further discussion?
Maureen, do we want to give the board a little more information about this?
Would the applicant like to give the board a little more information? on that?
Please.
Officer Shay, nice to see you.
I see you too. Patrick Shea, live at 739 Quaker right now. I'm a patrol officer with East Aurora PD. We just want to do a softball game for charity benefiting the Boys and Girls Club and Operation Overwatch. The game's going to be about 7:30 at night. We're just going to have maybe some soft music playing or something like that. And yeah, it's really just about kind of getting the two departments together, have a little fun. In the future, we're thinking maybe this is kind of a trial run, hopefully get it turned into something that's a little more community police and community fire oriented. So get a little community interaction going.
Nice. How you feeling about your chances?
We're pretty good, pretty well right now.
I got $50 on this game. Vegas will take odds for anything.
And now you can't vote.
All right, it's a great idea. It's gonna, sounds like a neat event. Looking forward to it. Anybody have any questions for Officer Patche?
I do have an additional item. They
Oh.
are looking to use the village's insurance for the park. And not use as something separate of the PBAs, because it's the PBA and the social committee of the fire department that is doing this activity. So they're looking to see if the village would still use our liability insurance for the use of the park. This would not be a work event so that nobody's working, but it would be the liability for the park.
Thoughts on that? Any concerns?
No. Not for me.
Good.
It's a softball.
It is. Famous last words. All right, great. Appreciate it. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from the board? All right, moved by Grace, second by George. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations. Thanks for coming in. Can I get a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Hamlin Park for various dates for the East Aurora Baseball and Softball League from 6:30 to 8:30 PM with request for fees to be waived?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by George. Further discussion? This basically, just to give you a little background on this group, this is a bunch of little league baseball players. There was so many of them who signed up this year that they need 2 fields. And so there's one night of the week, I guess it's Wednesday nights, or 2 nights of the week, where they don't have enough fields and they need a place to practice. They just need it for 6 dates. And I guess I would suggest we sent them the varsity baseball schedule. Varsity baseball said it's not, I guess allegedly varsity baseball said it should be fine, but if they get like rained out at certain times and they have to move their schedule around, they may need the field for one of these dates.
Mhm.
And these guys understand that and they would find another place to practice.
Okay.
So they may only be there like 4 days, which I feel like kind of makes sense to waive some or all of the application fees because you hate to hit them up for $75 for 4 days of practice, you know, but that was kind of the thought behind it.
We also won't be doing the field like we do for other games where where it's striped and such. We aren't doing any of that. It's just going to be the bases.
It'll be easier for us. And I guess I would suggest maybe to your motion, if you would add a contingency that they would understand that they can't use the field if varsity baseball needs it.
We'll amend my motion.
All right. George, you second that amendment?
Yes, second.
Right. Any other discussion? Good with waiving the fees?
Yep.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to schedule a public hearing on June 20 to consider a special use permit application for Casey Caldiero and Laura Piskarowski to open a children's play center business at 651 Oakwood Avenue.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
That was me.
Second.
Oh, sorry. Second. Moved by Kristen.
Second.
Second by Grace, and I feel like you have to. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to approve a resolution to have fiber internet access installed in the village building at 571 Main Street.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
I'll second.
Second by Molly. Further discussion. Kathy, you want to give us a quick high level on that, please?
I sent you a note and you have the resolution. The town board it's a joint resolution, exact same thing for both the town and the village. Another really great cooperative agreement, actually, Maureen and the guy from Spectrum and Nick, our IT gentleman, and Shane, thank you. He's not here, so I'm looking over there. And Shane, they started the project, but then when Maureen mentioned it to me, about possibly the town joining on. I jumped on and did that part of it, and it worked out really great. Again, really good cooperation. We'll get it here, and the village administration will have use of it. And then the courts will have use of it over at our building at 571 Main. So very good cooperative agreement. It's all very much detailed in the resolution as it needs to be. So if you have any questions or anything else, I can answer them.
Seems like good to get the fiber in there,
Good deal.
share the cost and.
Share the cost.
And then eventually we'll have 5G because it doesn't sound like any private company is gonna roll fiber out publicly across the village. Right? I mean, we had a discussion on that as far as trying to figure out. Yeah, we did. You did a lot of research. I appreciate it. We both did, I guess. So just to throw that out there, a resident did approach me and ask when we were gonna get fiber. And it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like Spectrum or Verizon has any interest in spending whatever it is, $1 million a mile to roll out fiber network. And Nick told us that it would likely 5G would be the solution for that.
Yeah.
And at some point, everything's going to be wireless anyway.
Verizon used to send me a postcard every 3 months, and I used to fall for it every single time for FiOS, and it's
Yeah, they're not coming.
not coming.
Not anymore. All right, any other discussion on fiber at the village building? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I got a motion to amend the village board meeting policy so that speakers and communications are the second agenda item and public hearings are the third agenda item.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second. Second by George for the discussion.
You just adopted your policy at your organizational meeting, and Maureen pointed out that right now the order is what it is. And we have always had the order potentially erroneously not following policy with speakers and communications first. It probably makes a lot of sense to have speakers and communications prior to public hearings, because some public hearings can be lengthy and some of the speakers and communications can be very short. So the suggestion is to make that official, and so we can have our proper order in our agenda.
Thank you. Seems intuitive. Any discussion from the board? Nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion to refer the site plan for the Aurora Ice Association to construct a 1,664 square foot pole barn to the planning commission for June 6, 2023.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second by Kristen. For the discussion. I think the concern with this was that the applicant, if I'm right, was hoping maybe we could determine this was a minor project and didn't need to go to the planning commission. But then Liz pointed out 2 years ago, we actually struck that from our code, but it doesn't look like it's been updated on the website. Do I have that correct? Yeah, but our code legally is that we have to refer to the planning commission, which from what I understand will only add 2 weeks to the whole project, right? Based on the timeline Pete Sorgi had laid out in his application. Yeah. That gonna totally screw you guys up.
Sooner the better.
Yeah. What's the board think?
I think we should go by the code.
Yeah.
By
Right.
the code and legally. Even though they didn't have it on the website. From what I understand. I just want to clarify.
The code
be
just
transparent
says
with this.
that the village board could, if you wanted to, skip planning. It doesn't say you have to skip planning.
This
It's
is
it's
before 2 years ago. or
before-
current?
before 2 years ago.
Right. It's
So
an option.
it was an option to
Mm-hmm.
skip if you deemed it a small project.
Mhm.
So with that, you'd have to deem it a small project and then decide on it without, well, you would just set a public hearing immediately.
But then we changed it.
Well, that's the problem, is the documents are online of not being changed, and we were trying to get stuff with the secretary, so let.
Yeah, but your meeting minutes reflect that you made the change. It was at that point a matter of finding out what happened with the filing
Mhm.
with the Secretary of State. We simply don't have an answer to that today. But again, it is not unusual for whenever there's a change in a site plan to send something back to a planning board or planning commission. Most municipalities do that because there's a change.
I think we pulled that language out of there because we didn't want that judgment call in there.
Well, you have to
Of what's a
determine
small
what's under there.
project, right? It's I haven't gone back and double checked my notes, but that's the conversation I recall having.
And I believe that was part of the discussion in
Yeah.
the minutes as well.
Yeah.
But clearly it was not even a close vote. It was
Right.
a unanimous vote to eliminate the language.
So this adds 2 weeks to their timeline, but it gives our planning commission an opportunity to take a look at it and weigh in, which we'd like to do. And then we could get it right back onto the next meeting's agenda.
Yep.
Oh, hi Peggy. Oh. Do you want to come up and just say it into the mic, just because we have to record everything? It's okay, just name and address and then lay it on us.
Peggy Cook, 411 Grover Road. So for Aurora Ice, for the public hearing, then when would that happen? Does that happen after the?
That would generally
Planning.
be scheduled after the comments from the planning commissioner received.
So does that mean another month then? I don't know.
It's
what
usually
the
the s-
timing. I just don't know what the timing.
It would
is.
probably be the second meeting in July. So the third Monday in July.
The third Monday in July.
Mhm.
All right, so
So
Yeah.
can the public hearing be set so that the public hearing is set earlier than that?
so we can speed up the
If
timeline.
your application is not approved at. Well, that's not a normal practice, so somebody would have to make
That-
some kind of judgment
I
of
feel
not.
like
That-
it
that
might be
would
a
be-
nice idea to move things forward. for now.
Very unusual.
Would it?
Yeah.
Schedule a public hearing, then we could always do.
Scheduled.
Because if they don't approve it, we then have to pay again to have everything published
Who
and
does
send
that
out.
group?
If
The
the
planning
planning
board.
commission does not approve it at that meeting, then it would not be that, the public hearing would not be that date. Therefore, we would have to republicize everything.
Which is a net cost of
I mean,
approximately
well,
$150.
yeah, I mean, it would be the whole application fee, basically.
Yeah.
Because you have to send out all the new mailers, you have to send, put a new ad in the paper, so about.
Yeah, but if that were saving them the time that they were
Right,
gonna
if they-
lose because of the confusion around.
Then
the
it would be
website.
every applicant.
What's that?
That's every applicant.
Why?
This is the same thing for every applicant.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
What
You
you're
do it
doing,
with
what she's saying is you're making an exception here.
Right.
But when you have another individual who says, well, look, I have to go to the planning board. Why don't you set public hearing before the planning board addresses something? Now you're going to have to address, well, why?
But we're only
Separate
doing this
from the other.
because of our own issue with the filing with the state.
But that's, but that wasn't something that obligated us to not send it to the planning commission.
Right, it didn't change your process in terms of when you have a public hearing. That stays the same. You're now changing your process of when you schedule a public hearing to accommodate a specific group before they've gone to the planning commission.
I'm not, what if we charge them the $150 to do it again if we need to? If they agree to pay that.
You just
Gumming
open a
things up.
potential door for other people to say, look, why don't you schedule a public hearing now and shorten the timeframes
And
next
everybody-
time.
I mean,
Everybody-
you could do it on a
everybody-
case by case basis, but the problem is you're really setting a precedent.
Depends on which door you want to
And
open.
then you have to make a judgment call to decide what, and then there's a decision, what is the.
Which is the irony, because you
You know,
wanted to avoid that judgment call with the concept of a minor subdivision.
Right.
We want the planning board's recommendation anyhow. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it
Mm.
and. But
Right, I'm just saying I would love to figure out a creative way to speed this along because of the confusion, but it sounds like that'll get us in trouble.
It's a short window because the way that the rink operates. So it's a short window for the construction, and it's taken more time than we had anticipated just based on getting an architect and getting the plans together. So our window is, in the summertime. We have to store certain things in there, and we do have a garage already planned that was already approved in the development plan. This garage is just bigger because we now have year-round programming that requires more storage space than we had originally started with the ice rink. So that's why we're looking for, I know 2 weeks doesn't seem like much, or 4 weeks, but to us it is
I mean,
important.
we just got this on Friday. I mean,
Pardon?
didn't we just get this on Friday?
This application?
It was definitely last week.
It was put in by the Wednesday deadline, but then the board always gets everything with the agenda on Friday. So you are.
But even
correct.
if it were Wednesday.
Right, we have a motion to on the table, motion made by Molly, seconded by Kristen. Any other discussion from the board?
So can we just review this for a sec?
Mhm.
So the public hearing, the planning commission is gonna do it on June 6th.
Right, their next
Yes.
meeting.
And then what happens?
Yeah.
Then it comes back to the village board at the second meeting in June, and you'll schedule a public meeting for the second meeting in July.
So we get it June 12th or
19.
19th. 20th because of June.
Yes.
6th.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. And then,
It's set for the second meeting in July. in
That's
order-
as soon as you can usually do that's customary with it has to do
oh,
with the news.
so after
notice.
that first one in
Well, no,
July?
I'm saying with the newspaper, if you do set the hearing on the 20th,
Oh, right.
with the
I
way
would
it
have to
gets in
get
the
it to the-
newspaper, you don't have enough time to do it at the very next meeting.
Gotcha.
That's,
Good.
Grace made a
We
good
also
point to
don't have a
the,
meeting on the 4th of July week.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we don't have one.
right.
So that'd be the 17th.
17th of July, right?
And that is your one meeting, as you're accurately pointed out, that you're having in July in any event.
Right. So once that gets approved in July, then the contractor is going to set a date for when he's going to do it. And then we have to set the contract. So it
Mhm.
pushes everything out. And because the ice gets made and
No, I get it.
it's just, I'm sorry, it's just complicated. So that's why we were hoping that just at least the public, and we would pay the $150. If, if it had to be rescheduled, we would certainly pay that because it's going to cost us more trying to store. Right now, we have turf and we actually have to drive it downtown Buffalo to store it. And so when we need to put in turf, we have to go downtown Buffalo, bring the turf. It's a big deal. And then we have to take it back again. It's a back and forth. We had been storing it in the building across the street where the Blue Eyed Baker is going in, but they've just started construction.
Mhm.
So all that turf has to come out of there. So this is a new thing for us. We didn't have turf before. And so our scheduling at the rink, it's just a little complicated, and that's why we were really hoping to get the public hearing scheduled.
I wonder if Fisher Price would open up some of their warehouse space for you to put the turf in there, maybe. On their property, it's worth it, ask them as a community,
Yeah,
goodwill gesture.
yeah,
Maybe because I'm sure they have space available.
yeah. We haven't tried that one
I
yet.
would try it. It's right down the street.
Yeah. But if we could get the public hearing, that'd be the best. I'll ask one more time.
I get it. I do. I think I procedurally, I'm concerned about the can of worms that it opens up.
Right.
On our end, I get your deadlines and everything. I think we're kind of in the same boat.
Someone's paying attention to this, and someone will say, well, you did it for them.
Absolutely.
Well,
And
Yeah,
then
and-
we're okay, and
And everyone's got reasons.
it's killing
I
me, and we
know.
can't.
Everybody's got a reason. I know.
It's just,
Yeah.
I'm Mike T and I'm on the board for the ice rink on Riley Street. And just one thing that I wanted to point out when we're evaluating the minor timely-ness of modifications, one thing to bear in mind. And I think this would probably apply to your discussion about precedent setting or not, is that the overall square footage would be reduced when we're done with this project because of the other storage buildings that are on site that would be removed in this process. So the net is fewer square feet. And I doubt you'd have many development projects that would say we're looking at this as a potential precedent who are going to have a smaller footprint after the project than they would beforehand.
And more parking spaces. We're adding parking spaces by doing this building. And we are also reducing the noise because we've changed the direction of the chiller, which used to send noise over the railroad track, and we moved it. And now this building is going to be next to it, so we're gonna put more sound attenuation on the building, so we're actually reducing.
I love the changes. They're all great changes.
Yeah.
They are.
The changes. It's the process.
They are, and I don't know if you've done it, it's been phenomenal. Definitely there's the most of any of us.
We understand that, and it is, as Peggy's alluded to, it's more the whole scheduling piece of it and trying to get it done in a way that's safest for the kids that are using the facility, that it's not interfering with the programming as much when there's the kids out there, around a construction project that's going on.
Yeah, the part of the problem is you went in front of the planning commission already, got approval for you're more than doubling the size of that one building, and now you're removing other buildings. So I appreciate your comment about the change in the square footage, but that also might have, and I have no idea if it would affect what they were thinking or whatever in terms of placement of the building, the size of the building or whatever, but they addressed it, and now I think the issue is not so much that you're reducing the total footprint on the entire piece of property, but rather what changes are you making, which were not consistent with the plans that were originally approved by the planning commission. And again, this isn't something the planning commission has changed or the village board has changed at any request, but rather after you went through the whole process, now unfortunately, you've come through it and asked for changes in the site plan. And it's not unusual for any municipality to send that back to the same group that reviewed it the first time. And that's, I work in a number of different municipalities, and that's pretty common concept.
We totally get that.
Yeah, I think you're here and nobody thinks it's a bad idea. It's just unfortunately a process.
Yeah.
I might suggest that you have a vote. It's all getting.
I don't call.
Any other
It's getting kind of repetitive.
Any other discussion from the board?
Yeah, I just want to mention that while I was of an opinion, I was under the impression that we had created some confusion by what was on the website. But now the more that I'm hearing about this and understanding the changes that are made, I think even in the terms of the previous language, this would not be a minor change. And so, I think we probably should, in my mind, follow the standard procedure on this.
Anyone else? All right, the motion is made by Molly, second by Kristen, to refer it to the planning commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I get a motion to refer a special use permit for Chelsea Route 54 Elm Street, Left Coast Taco for a temporary outside space to the planning commission, June 6th, 2023.
So
Moved by Grace, second. Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Good on new business and old business. Second, speakers and communications. Anybody want to speak on any topic? Raise your hand and let me know. Okay. Moving on to department head report.
The restrooms at the Hamlin Park should be completed by Wednesday and open for use.
Fantastic. Nicely done, Matt.
And the rough grading around the new basketball court and tennis court has been completed. And the coating hopefully will be going down on the tennis courts relatively soon so that the fencing can be finalized.
Fantastic. Thank you, Matt. Liz? Where'd Liz go? Liz is
She's
out there.
outside.
Did she have anything that you know of? We can roll back around in the end if she does come in. What do you got, Kathy?
Got back from a 3-day training and board meeting and conference for PERMA, our workers' comp carrier. It's not really a company, it's actually a conglomerate of municipalities all around the state. I happen to be on the board of directors, I'm the secretary also. And people think of workers' comp, if somebody gets injured, you take care of them. And certainly PERMA does an excellent job at that whenever we have any issues that we need for that. But I will tell you, all I heard in every single training session I went to is safety, safety, safety. They don't want to take care of people after they get injured. They want to make it so that nobody gets injured. That is a huge thing with them. So I went to a lot of, and actually did a little recap with Matt earlier today, a lot of different safety items. We're actually, I've been trying to get, and it's going to happen soon, I hope. I know we already have a safety committee that has to do with external requests for things with streets and sidewalks and things. But I want to have a safety committee, an internal safety committee that has department heads and employees to look at all different ways that we can continue to up our game as far as continuing to make sure that that we have prevention with at every turn and training, and do even more than we are already doing, which we certainly are doing some items now within the departments, but having a comprehensive safe committee. And PERMA, the gentleman from PERMA, who's when I represented for that, will come to our first meeting and help us kick it off and talk about a whole bunch of strategies. So I just want to say I'm really impressed with the group myself, because that is all they are all about. They just want everybody to go home at night good. They don't ever want anybody to have any issues. So it was a really great conference, and that's what I've been doing this whole past week. So
Thanks for getting there.
So
Catching
one
up.
question about that.
yes,
In my opinion, safety is like a lot of times, it's processes, but it's a lot more culture of attention to safety. And it's a journey, like improving it is a journey, because any cultural change is a big journey.
you could come and be at PERMA, because everything you're saying is absolutely accurate.
Yeah.
George wants to be on that committee.
I would welcome them.
I did not say that. Let's bring back the record.
We would love a village board member on our committee.
But I was wondering where you would say that we stand, if you want to just like give it currently a letter grade and and where we want to go.
Well, as I say, we have a very good track record. So obviously a lot of the things that we're currently doing are working, but you can always be better in this area. And you are apt. I love the fact that you use that word culture, because you really want to develop a culture of safety that is just inherent in your organization. And PERMA is huge into that, which is why they give you all these strategies. They have tons of training on their website that I know our police department takes advantage of all the time to meet any requirements. But it really is inspiring if you go to these meetings and listen to the presenters and the things that they're doing and the things they would like you to do. So I think we're going to up our game and continue to increase our culture of safety.
So we're
here at
driving
the
kind of from
village.
good to great.
That's my goal. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Is it my
Liz?
turn? Oh, it's my turn. Just a couple of things. Our department's been extremely busy this spring so far. If you've seen by our reports, Rich has been a great addition to the department, so we're really fortunate to have him. The one thing that it's allowed me to do really is to focus on violations, both property maintenance and other issues that we have going on out there. So you may be seeing an increase in court requests over the next several months if we can't get people to become compliant. But that's the last case scenario. We don't want to. I don't want to send everybody to court. We certainly want to work with our residents in order to bring properties up to what state code requires as minimum compliance. But But things are going well in the department and we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Great.
And it's
Good to hear,
not a
Liz.
train.
Maureen?
We are working on Sarah's training, which is going phenomenally. And she will be here for everybody to come pay their taxes in June. The tax bills will be going out, so people will have them by June 1st. So people need to remember to, if they didn't get their tax bill, they have to call and get a copy, but they are mailed out. And we are still hiring a deputy clerk.
Very good. Thanks, Maureen.
Can I say something?
Please do.
A new person is always a good time to check and refresh procedures. So any written procedures that you've got, check them against what she tells, like, check what you're being told to do by the procedure versus what you're being told verbally and update them.
We had that discussion earlier today and yesterday about not being lazy to things that have happened in the past or even before I got here. And I was like, this is the direction. You'll do it this way, no matter what anybody else is doing.
Okay.
So yes,
Yeah.
we've been addressing that.
One thing as a new person, I've talked to each of the department heads
Mhm.
and I came away totally impressed, but I also specifically was impressed by the level of complexity of some of the
Mhm.
Engagements, particularly with Maureen's department and the interactions between the town and the village and all the finances and stuff like that. And my first kind of internal auditors, mindset was procedures. You gotta have procedures. So I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Maureen. Kristen?
Oh, Kathy, I was gonna ask, we talked before about memorial trees and everything. And I think you were gonna wait for some comments from the board. I don't know if anybody's sent you any comments. Just wondering if that's gonna.
I'm not sure that I got anything back from the tree board, the last thing that I sent them.
Well, I meant our board, but any board, I guess.
Okay. I haven't gotten comments. But if anyone would like to send me them, or if you would like me to resend you what the current proposal is, you are very correct. I took the comments from way long ago,
Yes.
about a year ago now, probably.
Yes, I think so.
And I got a very simple form that I completely stole from another park area somewhere around the country. And I sent it to everybody, but I did not get any feedback. So thanks for the reminder. So-
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So if people could just sort of read that again, or maybe we can send it again and then send comments to Kathy. I think it would be nice to get that whole thing moving along and done and dusted.
Very good.
That's all I've got.
Thanks, Kristen. Grace?
Okay.
Ernie?
Walking around Roycroft campus during art walk and looking at the stock house. Or storehouse. Part of the roof is gone on the east side. You could see it where it's been, it was blowing off. I was actually talking to another guy about it. So just something else you might want to know as you go to court.
Wednesday.
Yeah, so something needs to be done about that. Take a look.
Oh, there's a long list.
But this is something I think fairly recent, according to the gentleman I was talking to.
Okay.
As I waited for my wife to come out of the gift shop.
What'd you buy?
No,
Nice candle.
I do what I do all these places like Niagara in the Lake. I just find a bench to sit on or something like that. Watch the squirrels run around.
The bar right across the street.
Ice cream.
Well, I did use the bathroom over there.
Anything else? Ernie? No, thank you.
No, nothing. Thank you.
Molly?
I'm fine, thank you.
I met with was Kiwanis. Brian Russ was there and Jim Bach was there. Chuck Snyder invited the three of us to give kind of a state of their municipalities. It's a great group. It was a lively discussion we had. It was great. Halfway through my presentation, I opened it up to questions and I got them. I got lots of them. Yeah, it's a great group. I enjoy that. And Otherwise, really just want to reiterate, and I talked about this at that meeting, how much I appreciate the work the DPW has been doing. Like they are saving us so much money, saving the village so much money by finding time in their already busy schedule to do those bathrooms, to do the police station modifications, to do the work with the courts in the park. You guys are really going above and beyond, Matt and team. So really appreciate everything you guys are doing. So that is all I have, but we are going to, you know what, I'm gonna ask for a motion to go in executive session to discuss a individual personnel matter. Can I get a motion for that? Moved by George, second. Second by Grace. Further discussion? I don't expect we'll be voting on anything afterwards. We expect to adjourn right after. Thank you all for coming. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? We're in executive session.